This is Ghostrunner 2, not to be confused with Ghostrunner 1, should be available on Steam and PlayStation 5. And today I'm playing it using the UEVR Injector. If you don't know what that is, it's a way of dropping into any Steam game, so long as it was built using Unreal Engine 4 or 5. Sometimes it works okay, sometimes it's terrible, and sometimes it's amazing. It really is run the game, click a button, and you're in VR. In this case, I'm not going in naked, bare bones. I'm using a profile. There were a couple available. I'll leave a link down below for the two profiles that I used and the game via Steam and the injector all on its own. And with that, let's jump into it. Now, I really like this game for what it is. It's a dash, cut him in half type game. Everything's about bursting forward and quick maneuvers, sliding down rails, hacking people to pieces. It's very fast. If you don't know where to go, you can always run along a wall. It's very fast paced. It's ultra gory, and I'm here for it. I like it. I've never played it flat screen, so this is my first experience with it. And for a game that's all about just moving quick and cutting people's heads off, what more do you want? Getting freaking, oh my gosh. Now, between the two profiles that I had access to, the differences between the two were primarily what do you do with the sword. In the first profile I tried, the sword was attached to your right hand, in which case you could whip it left and right and attempt to cut people in half with it. But the problem is that the sword is not effective unless you pull the trigger. And so all that's happening in that case is it's giving you the sensation of you're swinging the sword, but if you don't pull the trigger, then nothing happens. The alternative profile basically makes it so that it's this animated thing as was seen in the flat screen game. You can just keep your hands at your side and the sword is always up like this, and when you pull the trigger, regardless of where your controllers are, there's an animated thing where it comes up and slices. And in the end, I rather liked that, honestly. A lot of people are going to have this opinion that's not unfair, that what's the point in being in VR if you don't have hands, if you can't maneuver using motion controllers, why do it? And after spending so much time in Alien Isolation and just really getting into more of these games, and I'm honestly, I'm okay with it. There was a time when I would have been there with you. I would have, what is the point if I have to use an Xbox controller or I don't have hands in the game? And I just don't care. Mainly because when it comes to something like the UEVR Injector, I mean, nowhere else in VR, most of the time, are you going to get effects that you find in this with the gore. In Nobody Wants to Die, that scenery doesn't exist anywhere else. And so it's this thing, if you're in VR, do you want an immersive, beautiful environment? Or do you want to be able to interact with the game? I'm not saying that you should spend all day in a game like this, but if you want to experience something pretty and big and something that you can't find anywhere else, that's where this comes in. And so going in with that understanding, knowing that there's this barrier to entry, I'm cool with it. And in the end, I decided that I'd go with the second profile, keep my hands at my side. There's an added thing with the animation to where he's constantly kind of flipping the sword up, catching it, slicing. It's very beautiful, very fluid, and I dig it. To me, this game really succeeds in this thing where you can parkour across walls. You can, if there's a flat parallel surface, you can run across it. You can maneuver anywhere you want. There are platforms that launch you. You can jump on those. You've got a grappling hook that you can hook onto, swing. And when you come across a door that you need to enter through, swing of the sword and it kind of explodes open. And it's all very cool, very satisfying. There was this moment with a train where I have to launch and there are 4 rails and I need to land on one of them. And when you land on a rail in this game, your feet kind of kick forward and you slide and you glide down it. And it's very cool, very fast. But there's these oncoming trains and I have to jump onto a platform that'll launch me into the air so I can grapple onto something and hang over the train long enough for it to pass beneath me and then do it again because another train is coming. And do I wish that I could lift my hand in the air and do that? Sure. But it's fast enough, it's exciting enough that as long as you go in with these expectations in check, it's a good time. Now, there is something to be said for, using motion controllers over an Xbox controller, and I'm glad that the motion controllers work so well in this game. But in this game, with the motion controllers, using the joystick to walk, if you run and jump and land in front of a guy, the movement in the stick kicks off and you get stuck. And it was supremely agonizing and annoying, and I could not overcome it. Try pulling the trigger to wake it up or push a button, and it just kind of hangs and does its own thing. Getting freaking, oh my gosh, I can't walk. Freaking walk. Dude, Jesus Christ. Oh my gosh, it just stops walking. It's so annoying. Dude. Like every freaking time. Like nothing's happening. I'm moving it. And so if there's a thing that sucks about this game using the injector, that was it for me. I'm curious if you guys have found a workaround. If you guys have used this, I'd love to know. And because of that, in that case, I feel like it would benefit from an Xbox controller, assuming that fixes this. But otherwise, it's fun, it's fast, it's wicked. And if you want to try something new, I can recommend it. Links will be down below. Thank you for being here. I also have a website down below that I'll link to. It's got every single game available on the MetaQuest store, where you'll always find between 10 and 20% off depending on the time of the year. By using that, it supports my channel, I get a small cut, and you save money. I also have links to a bunch of accessories and headsets. Again, supports my channel, but there are things like 5%, 10%, 20% off on these various accessories, and you may find it useful. So click that link to save some money. Thank you again for being here. You've been watching Bringhurst VR. Please subscribe and like this video. It helps my channel a ton. Godspeed.